Hey everyone, thanks for your support in 2024. We have a lot of cool stuff coming in 2025, and here are some of the things you can look forward to as we move into next year. In the lead up to The Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026, we'll be starting a full series rewatch of both The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett on exploring hyperspace lanes beginning in October. You can also expect a rewatch of Andor, and we will have reviews of every episode of Andor and the rest of the Skeleton Crew as those come out. Josie will be returning as we continue to rank every Star Wars thing released ever. Reviews of every episode of every Marvel Disney Plus show, including Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, The Eyes of Wakanda, Wonder Man, Ironheart, Daredevil Born Again, and Marvel Zombies, the day after each episode releases, will be available on Beware of Spoilers. We'll be having special event podcasts on 30-minute reviews for the Academy Awards, our 2024 year in review in early January, ranking all of Phase 5 of the MCU after Fantastic Four First Steps comes out, and our 10th anniversary special. Once we complete our rankings of all the Pokemon games on the backlog files, we'll be moving on to Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Over on the YouTube channel, you can join in for playthroughs of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Pokemon White, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Sonic Adventure 2, LEGO Racers 2, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Want to keep on top of all the new things we have coming? Subscribe at mwpnews.com, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@mwpnews, or subscribe to Beware of Spoilers, 30-minute reviews, exploring hyperspace lanes, and the backlog files on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thank you for your support. Good evening and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. It is Thursday night, and I went to see a movie, as is usually the case. Well, most weeks. Today, I went to see a movie that came out a few weeks ago, or about a week ago at this point. A little over a week. Came out on Christmas Day, so Wednesday, so yes, 8 days ago, and it is A Complete Unknown, the biopic about Bob Dylan, and I enjoyed the movie. It's 2.5 hours. It did not feel like 2.5 hours, even when I had to go to the bathroom at a certain point, and I was sitting there like, let me just get through the rest of this movie, and there was like another hour after that. It still did not feel like 2.5 hours almost. And I think the thing is with this is, as far as musical biopics go, I think this is anchored by a very strong performance. I think Timothee Chalamet is great. I said it back in March, and I think I'm going to stand by it now. I think Timothee Chalamet is going to win an Oscar this year. Granted, I'm not 100% committed to the fact that he's going to get nominated for and win for Dune Part 2, even though he definitely should. I think he's going to get nominated and ultimately win for this. I think Ed Norton is going to get nominated and win for this, for Best Supporting Actor. And this is, it's just the two of them kind of anchor this movie. And it's this movie about Bob Dylan and his, what set him on his path with this he has this great talent and he doesn't want to be boxed into genre or what people want him to do. He reacts poorly to being told what to do, and that's what the entire movie's about. Is when he feels boxed in, he acts out, and I like the way they really articulate that in this movie. The cinematography is great. I love the way they frame all this night stuff in the city. I'm a huge sucker for that. They do a great job with that. Monica Barbaro is really good too as Joan Baez. I'm not 100% familiar with. See, and that's the thing too, is that it's like, this isn't an artist I'm overly familiar with. It's like when we talked about, what was it, last year? When we talked about earlier, last year at this point, it's the second. So when we talked about, not Whitney Houston, Bob Marley, or when we talked about Amy Winehouse, these are not artists I was overly familiar with. And, so the movie stands on its own as a narrative about this person, and I think that that's kind of what this does. The difference is this does it well, and I think that let's take a minute to acknowledge what this is. I mean, I think that if it's not for Chalamet's performance, and if it's not for the other performances I've already shouted out, I think this is kind of another forgettable musical biopic. But James Mangold has a great ability to draw great performances out of his actors. He did a great job with Walk the Line, which is kind of a similar, thing. He did a great job with Logan. Look, say what you will about, some of his other movies, but he gets strong performances out. And I feel like, the performance we got out of Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is not terrible either. He can pull a good performance out of actors, and I think that that's kind of Mangold's great strength. Ford versus Ferrari. He's a good actor's director, and I think that is why this movie works as much as it does. I won't say that the movie is overly fantastic or anything like that. I think what this is, and why this movie is being as lauded as it is since Walk the Line and Crazy Heart and those movies from the Walk the Line was 03, 04, so early, from the aughts. They kind of ushered in this new era of we're going to make musical biopics its own kind of genre. And we get a bunch of them every year. We had we had Elvis, we had Back to Black, we had Bob Marley One Love, we had Rocket Man, we had Bohemian Rhapsody. These are all within the last 5 years or so, and they're all these movies about these these great musicians and all of that. And what these largely devolve into is it's an avenue for fans to go and relive seeing this again. And look, I'm not going to sit here and criticize anyone for indulging in movies in that way. One of my favorite movies of last year was Sonic 3, because I just repackaged my childhood into a movie and got it into a theater. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, you shouldn't, that's not right or anything like that. It's, it is what it is. People will enjoy what they enjoy, and let's see what they do with that. The issue comes in where it's the movie that really ushered this in a real way in the modern era was Walk the Line, which is James Mangold. And then since then, they've been constantly happening, but not all of them have been great. So this feels like James Mangold coming back in and being like, no, let me show you how you're supposed to do this. How you're supposed to craft a narrative. How you're supposed to use the life and take liberties where you can to embellish and make things work better. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is it's not a biography. It's not a, and again, I'm taking liberties right now because I don't know how much of the story is real, how much of the story is fabricated or anything like that. I don't know any of that because I don't know Bob Dylan's story. I'm familiar, it's one of those things where as you're listening, I know that song, I know that song, I know that song, I know that song, but it never, who Bob Dylan was as a person never clicked with me. And what it is this is an avenue for them to tell the story of where this music came from. And to an extent, that's kind of why last year Piece by Piece kind of worked, because it's the same kind of thing. It's not a direct biopic. It's just, where does this come from? Where does the music come from? Which is the important thing of yes, his life is important, but there's still an air of mystique around his backstory here, because this is the story of him transitioning into the electric guitar model, of him. It's that transitionary period is what they're putting to screen here. So to an extent, what you're looking at is this very limited point in his life. You don't get the backstory where he came from. They play that very mysteriously too. Oh, you were at a carnival. Oh, I think you're bullshitting me about being at the carnival. All of that stuff is just designed to kind of, build mystique, and I think they do a pretty good job of building that mystique. And ultimately showing that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is the here and now, and that's what it is. And he says as much in the movie. There's a line that he has in the movie that's great, where it's everyone's past is fabricated. You remember the good stuff. You talk about the good stuff. I'm paraphrasing here. And he's like, but at the end of the day, anything you don't like, you just don't talk about. And that's what it is. It's and I think that is kind of a way, because Dylan himself was involved in this movie, of acknowledging it's sort of an unreliable narrator kind of story, where it's and in a way, it's that tongue-in-cheek kind of reference to it is is really smart. I did really enjoy it. It's not going to make my top 10 because, as we know, the cutoff is where it is, and we are now past that cutoff. But it is really, really a strong movie. I would recommend everyone go see it. And I think, too, it's like the other thing that they do really well, which is something that, again, you don't get this experience with a lot of these other movies, is when he goes electric at the end of the movie, and he's doing the folk festival with the electric guitars, it's not built for that. Nothing about that setup is built for that, and it's not mixed for that. And what the movie does really well is put you in this cacophonous situation where it's just you can't think straight, you can't keep oriented. It's just the music is just so suffocating and deafening in that moment that is just absolutely a great decision. And the way they mix it, where it just doesn't quite work right, is just so well done. And it's by design, because you're designed to, in that moment, get the experience of the audience. You're not getting Dylan's feeling about how he's going. You're not getting any of that. You're getting just they were not ready for this, and they did not want to be ready for this, so they kind of held it back. And that's the other thing, too, is that it's a movie about gatekeeping and trying to hold someone into one section. And to an extent, this movie comes out at a great time, because, and again, I'm not a huge music person. I follow the artists that I like. I listen to the music that I like, and largely that hasn't changed in the last 15 years. Something that I said over text, and I was talking to someone earlier today about my New Year's resolutions, and I said, my musical tastes haven't changed in 15 years, and in fact, I haven't really added too much new music to my Amazon Music account, because I don't use Spotify. Except you should use Spotify when you're listening to the podcast. But where I'm getting at with this is, I'm about 100% certain, but if I remember correctly, wasn't Beyonce entirely shut out of the CMAs? Because it's this little clubhouse and they don't want Beyonce in there. She didn't get nominated for a single CMA. She had the biggest country album of the year last year. She didn't get nominated for a country music award. It resonates even now, this idea of we have our definition of what this is. We have our definition of what folk music is. And we are going to, we need you to strictly adhere to what that definition is. And if you're not going to adhere to that definition, we're going to kick you out of the clubhouse. And it's that thing where it's no, but we need to bring more people in. If you want more people in, you have to change with the times. And that's fundamentally what the movie's about, is making changes, and not boxing yourself into one place just because that's what you think is going to be best. It's about opening up. And the thing is, too, it's they don't shy away from him as the outspoken, vehicle for, trying to move social change. The one thing I didn't like about the movie was superimposing Timothee Chalamet at the Million Man March. That was the thing that I was I don't know. That would have been a moment where you just have the real Bob Dylan in there. I don't need Timothee Chalamet kind of superimposed into that. That felt kind of weird. But beyond that, I really enjoyed the movie. 5 stars. Go check this movie out. It's available in theaters. And I do think this movie is one that benefits from the theatrical experience. Again, that last scene, you being unable to get out of, that whole thing when you're in that sequence with him and, with him. And the thing is, too, it's it doesn't really shy away from, we'll get back to that in a minute. It doesn't shy away from his unwillingness to be boxed in and defined. Doesn't just end with his music. It ruins his relationship with Sylvie and the other girl who was she was the older sister on on the remake or the new version of the Wonder Years. But it's all of these, he can't handle having these defined roles, and he doesn't want to have these defined roles. He just wants to kind of be free. And I think tying it in with all the social aspects of it is a great way of really, basing him in a place and time, and not just making him like he's just making this music. He actually believes in what he's doing. He's going out there and singing what he believes in. But this was very well. Oh, that's what it was. If you watch this at home, because this movie was made by Searchlight, so this will be on Disney Plus / Hulu within a few months. I would say probably by February, if not March, this ends up on streaming. And if that's the case, then if you watch this at home and you get to that final scene, and like I said, it's this moment where they're using the electric instruments and Johnny Cash is there, and they're going up and doing their music the way they want to, which is, again, if you've ever listened to the Live from Folsom Prison album, Johnny Cash says that. He's like, I'm here to do what I want to do, what you want to do. I'm not here to do what they want. And that is what Bob Dylan stands for in this movie, and it's why he hands them the he's like, go out there and do, get mud on the carpet. That whole ending is great, and if you watch it at home and you get to that, you're gonna watch it, you're gonna turn the volume down, and I think it's gonna take away something from that moment. And to that end, I think this is a theatrical must-watch. But we'll wrap up there for today. Go check out A Complete Unknown. Watch as James Mangold gives another masterful directing performance. I mean, this guy, he's one of the few directors that, he's had missteps over the years. Not everything he's made has been perfect, but I trust him enough when he's telling stories like this that I will show up every time. And I can trust that he will deliver the story that we want. And Timothee Chalamet, too. I mean, it's one of the things, I'm sitting here watching this movie, I'm like, is Timothee Chalamet, did he win for Call Me By Your Name? He's a very versatile actor, and I think that, he's, I don't want to say he's underrated, because, at this point, probably everyone knows who he is and all of that, but he is, he's very, I think he's still underrated, because he's been doing great work for years, and it only took Dune and Dune Part 2 for people to start noticing. Because even Beautiful Boy, that movie with Steve Carell that's based on Tweak, he's fantastic in that. He's fantastic in Call Me By Your Name, Bones and All. Wasn't he in the French Dispatch? He was good in that. He shows up places and he elevates whatever he's in. So, and even what was it, Sunday, the Big Noon Sunday, whatever it is, where he showed up and did fucking commentary for college football. He shows up, he does a good job, and that's something that I appreciate, that I can come to expect out of Timothee Chalamet at this point. And look, we'll be back for more musical biopics in the year to come. I believe, if I remember correctly, we have a biopic for Bruce Springsteen coming this year, and I think the Michael Jackson one is this year too. Bruce Springsteen, I'm going to enjoy seeing, I think. I also like Jeremy Allen White. But yeah, we'll wrap up there for today. Our next episode will be tomorrow morning. We'll be talking about Creature Commandos, the 6th episode, the penultimate episode. And we'll have something else coming in the near future, a spoiler-free review of something that is coming out within the next month. I have to watch it starting tonight, which is great because I can pre-record a bunch of episodes and have them all set to go and not have to worry about keeping that in the schedule, which for a host of reasons, but we'll talk about it as it comes. And also we'll be picking up The Pit. The Pit will be starting next week on Friday. We'll be talking about that, the new Max show that may or may not be based on ER, but we're not 100% certain because Michael Crichton is suing over it. But we will see. We will talk about it. And Noah Wiley's in it. So, it is what it is. I don't think we have another movie this week. Next week we'll be doing Better Man. And, if you've been looking for reviews of Skeleton Crew, then head on over to Exploring Hyperspace Lanes, where you can listen to me talk about Skeleton Crew. If you're looking for me leading into Captain America Brave New World, talking about, that kind of stuff. Check out 30-minute reviews. We put up this morning The Falcon and the Winter Soldier episodes 1 and 2. And then after that, we also have, we'll be doing Spider-Man in the lead up to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, let me find my thing. Here it is. Until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.